Hello there, this is KC with VanTripping.com and my DIY Expedition Camper build video series. And here is a little problem. You might be able to see it in this video of the old Expedition Camper subframe mounts, but you might not. And that's what I'm going to get in this video and talk a little about why I'm making this little improvement here on the subframe to camper connections to make sure that they're solid and going to hold up. They're going to have good longevity and durability and strength. And so we're going to make some changes and I'm going to talk through those. It's going to be a pretty short video to go through that, but it might be a good help for you and your Expedition camper build. To start off, let's go back to the day that we installed this camper to the subframe. A little trip down memory lane here. And so it sits essentially there, and it self-centers itself really within this hole, and that's part of the benefit. It really can't move. It also distributes that load, of course, to the bolt around there. And then I've also built these little plates at a 1/4-inch aluminum, and these are essentially going in here like this. So that's how I'm doing it. So I got to go finish drilling the holes in these, and so I'm ready to go today. And a day it was building the Total Composites box, or starting to build it and mounting the floor to the subframe with these mounts that I derived up with these large washers and so forth. But I didn't quite have enough this EPDM pad to completely fill those subframe wings, and so left a little gap there. So that's what I wanted to fill, and also replace these aluminum washers that I built up out of this aluminum bar with some here, as you can see, some fiberglass U-channel that perfectly fit in there, as well as some fiberglass bar that also perfectly fit into this space. So I measured out those spaces, really saw what I could do and get by with, and found that these materials that I could use, and part of the benefit of using the fiberglass is, of course, it's not only non-conductive, it's outdoor rated, it's not going to cause any corrosion issues or any kind of incompatibility between the different metals, and of course it's also got the soft texture but incredibly strong structural composite. So I went ahead and drilled those out, cut them to size, and then of course unattached the subframe bolts one by one so the camper would not move, while I inserted in the pre-fit fiberglass bars and U-channels, which perfectly fit inside of these subframe wings. And so there's no movement in 3 dimensions, or really 4 dimensions, upward, of course, downward now that it's bolted in, as well as sideways, forward, or backwards. And so it really locked them in entirely. I also put a little bit of sealant into the washer, or around the washer of these, but not the bolt of where it is above the tires, so that any water or anything gets in there, it's sealed up. And then of course did install that washer in there and these bolts, which are very strong bolts. You can see how tight that fits. It's very nice fit. So now that really completely fills in that space. And with that fiberglass bar between the subframe and the camper, there's no compression of that at all, or additional compression of those EPDM pads that are between those two to absorb it in this spot where there is going to be some compression between the bolt and that going into the camper there. And speaking of bolts, the bolts that EarthCruiser provided with their subframe springs had these incredibly long nuts on them. Now granted, these are 3/4-inch bolts and long nuts, but you can see they basically top out right at the base or floor of the camper, which was too far. I did not like that there wasn't any gap there, so I replaced them with some shorter nuts that were actually a stronger nut and also a stainless one, which probably should hold up a little better over time. And so that provides a lot more gap there now, and so a much better overall finish to the subframe mounts to the camper. Now there's a lot more to finish up. Got to wrap up the plumbing. Also have to resolve this check engine light, as I found it picking up brand new from EarthCruiser, and also starting out the electrical system installation. So thank you so much for watching and also sharing with others. Please do subscribe. There's a lot more to come as far as this DIY Expedition camper build and the subsequent use and travels with it.